Allow me, gentlemen, to greet you once again. Our project Barchuk Live is on air on ObozTV channel. Once again, let me congratulate our president on yesterday's success. Yes, no matter what anyone says, gentlemen, it's still an achievement. 14 hours. And here in the studio, we continue talking about successful people. We continue because President Zelensky, one way or another, will be the president of the country for 41 years. And right here with us is a person who became a millionaire, dollar millionaire, a gentleman at 16. Alochka, please introduce our guest.
Vadim Mashurov, welcome.
Greetings.
Is that true, Vadim?
18.
18? You know, it's really hard for losers like me who are 47 to talk about things like this. You feel, as they say, like a nobody. 18 years old and already a dollar millionaire. He works in IT technologies. In particular, your company developed some kind of app for Instagram. Yeah, I'm not really that savvy about it, as they say. And that allowed you to feel the way you do now. Let me remind everyone, or rather, I'll point out that our guest arrived here in a car of the brand Alochka, should I tell you?
Go ahead.
A black Bentley with, as they say, a flashy license plate 3 zeros. How did you end up living like this? Tell us.
Actually, I worked a lot, and my main passion has always been work, learning new things, reading books. So for me, it's like a hobby combined with work. I really enjoy achieving results, setting new goals for myself, and reaching them. That's how I just kept rolling along.
When did you start working that you already had such results at 18?
At 14, yes, at 14, I went through my first interview and got a job at a company, an American startup. The guys were making games, and I was helping them out.
People here. Not everyone even understands what IT is. Well, over there, okay, they already know. It's somehow connected to computer technologies. But for us, ordinary Ukrainians, it's hard to understand how a 14-year-old boy, first of all, why did they even hire him? What exactly could you do that made them hire you at 14?
But in reality, it was all very simple. There were very few specialists. Even now, in any business that exists, the main problem is human resources. That is, it's hard to find a good employee who will be dedicated to their work, who will be passionate about it and have the desire.
So basically, it was a stroke of luck for you.
I think so. Yes. Well, not exactly lucky. There was no first interview. I passed the first time. It was 1 out of 10 interviews that I went through.
And what was the salary?
As a beginner, $15 an hour.
That's per day. So if it's an 8-hour shift, it's not that much. Although, in principle, you had about $1.50 a month, right?
Yes. It was about $1,500 that I was making. Actually, the salary should have been higher, but I didn't always manage to handle my main tasks. So it turned out that I tried to get a job as an external candidate. That is, I didn't yet know everything I needed to know, and I was just learning it. I kind of got lucky there, passed the interview well. And the tasks that, say, were supposed to take 8 hours, I could end up doing them in 10, 15, or even 20 hours. So I worked much more than necessary and earned a bit less than I should have at the beginning.
Well, you certainly had persistence, and that's why you did it.
And how has your life changed over these 4 years? We won't take 4. Let's take, say, just the last 2 years. So, what has changed in terms of your daily life, your comfort?
Well, I think the most important thing that changed was my environment. That is, now I have the opportunity to communicate with interesting people who have achieved something in life. Maybe someone even finds me interesting. We find some common topics, which allows us to learn about different areas in business. For example, a person might be involved in mechanical engineering and own a large company. I share my knowledge in IT with him, and he shares his knowledge in mechanical engineering with me. So initially, my social circle changed. But after that, nothing much really changed, like cars, apartments, things like that.
And what about parties?
I don't have time to party yet.
Oh my God. You see, gentlemen, you listen to a person like this and you think, what a hard life. Working overtime, 18 hours a day. I'm reading one of your interviews. I always wanted to strive towards those people who were already buying not Mitsubishi Outlanders, but for example, Maseratis or Ferraris, who could afford a helicopter or who allowed themselves to travel a lot. Where did you find these people? How did they perceive you, young guy? Well, explain.
No, I just looked up to them. I didn't communicate with them at first. But actually, by the way, for everyone who's just starting out, especially young people, those who are older and have achieved something in life, they notice those who are striving, those who want to be around them. So if you're a young guy and instead of partying, you're always working, studying, making an effort that gets noticed.
They find you and with you.
No, you find yourself on your own. At first, of course, there were big barriers. For example, I had some friends. They even had, not friends, actually I didn't know these people at all yet, and they had billion-dollar companies. I would come in as this young teenager, boldly introducing myself to them, brushing past all the people who were coming to see them, and trying to talk to them about my own topics. One of them, for example, owned factories, and I approached him about automating factories, like how to automate everything, add neural networks, and so on.
And did they take you seriously? I mean, a young person coming in like that? Did they just see you as some kind of cheeky kid or as someone who actually understood things and knew what he was talking about?
I think I was a bit lucky, and they treated me well. Plus, people didn't have such extensive knowledge in IT. And when I spoke in technical terms, they realized that I actually knew something. And they would give me their business cards. Later, when I wrote to them and followed up, they responded quite positively.
You impressed them with your intellect, your skills, and your abilities.
Yes, and also a bit of fearlessness.
Well, honestly, someone might be watching us and say, what is he even talking about? He probably had wealthy parents who invested money in his ideas. What kind of family do you come from?
I come from a not very wealthy family. Since I was 14, I haven't taken any money from my family, and in fact, I even helped them out. Well, it's not really good to talk about this. Just an ordinary family. They live outside Brovary, that's in the Kiev region. There are no millionaires there, and they don't buy cars for themselves either. Just an ordinary, simple family.
Well, have your relationships purely from a psychological point of view, I don't know, changed with your relatives, your loved ones, your friends, after they found out that things have really taken off for you in life? There must have been some envy, probably.
Honestly, it all happened gradually. I mean, I tried to maintain relationships with my family. Even though I left home at 18, actually a bit earlier, I always come back to visit my family. We keep in touch at least once every week or two, and we try to have some get-togethers. And friends, at some point, they disappear, probably when I was 16 or 17, because I spent so much time at the computer. And my partners became my friends. So now it turns out that we work together and are friends as well.
Are those your cars appearing on the screen right now?
Depends which ones. Some of them are mine, some are not. And that was just now. So we have my partner, his name is Roman. We call it our family car fleet. And between the two of us, we have 4 cars. That is, there's an S-Class Mercedes. 4 cars in total, basically.
And how old is he?
He's 31.
Do you feel like you hit some kind of jackpot? Were you lucky, like some divine finger pointed at you? How do you explain your own success to yourself? But let's not talk about the fact that I worked a lot. I know plenty of people who work day and night and still aren't successful.
I think that, of course, luck plays a role. To some extent, I mean, things could have gone really badly. There have been times when I wasn't lucky. I've experienced for myself what it means to be unlucky. When you try your absolute hardest, pour all your strength and energy into something, but it just doesn't work out. Of course, sometimes you get lucky. There are some fortunate moments here and there, but it's an inseparable part of the process that you constantly have to push yourself. You have to discover new things for yourself, fight your fears, and keep growing. I don't think that, as of today, there's anything big or any kind of major achievement. I mean, I think there's still a very, very long road ahead, a big, difficult, and lengthy journey with a lot more work to be done.
And there is absolutely no fear of losing everything.
For now, there's nothing to lose. I mean, honestly, there isn't that much to lose yet. I have much bigger plans. So for now, there's nothing to lose. Do you remember your first success? How did it happen? What did it feel like at that moment, at that point in your life, when you first realized that you had successfully earned or unexpectedly received a significant amount that would allow you to radically change your way of life? Was it hard? No, actually, I didn't really feel like I had changed drastically or anything like that. I remember that at some point, money stopped being just money for me and became more of a tool. So I do remember going through that phase, because before, you would count your money just to make sure you had enough for lunch. Like, would I be able to buy borscht or not? Would I have enough for meat or not? Then would I have enough for a taxi or not? Maybe I'd have to take the bus, but maybe I wouldn't even have enough money for the bus. And then there's still rent to pay and chipping in for something else. There were times when I would calculate all of that. But later on, all of that stopped mattering so much, and money became more of a tool. Some investments, putting money into businesses, and I stopped counting how much I needed for food, for cars, and so on.
All right, so we'll be talking about this topic and much more in the next segment. Stay tuned.
We're looking forward to more great questions for our guests.
Happy Friday once again, everyone. And today, we've decided to dedicate 24 minutes of our broadcast to the success story of young Ukrainian IT millionaire Vadim Mashurov. Vadim, once again, welcome. Thank you. Allah has a question here, so go ahead. So you said that at a certain age, you would approach people you wanted to emulate, ask for a job, and show them your skills and abilities. Do people now come to you with the same goals? And how do you respond to that? Initially, I didn't ask for a job. I offered partnership. That is, I was always more interested in partnership than in working for someone else. But unfortunately, people don't come that often. I mean, I have my Instagram, it's open, so anyone can write to me. I have Facebook too, and unfortunately, very few people write. Over all this time, maybe only 2 or 3 people have written to me. Maybe they're shy or afraid. Maybe. Or maybe they just don't have that kind of confidence. There are way more requests like give me money than people trying to give advice, ask questions, and so on. So really in this regard, there are very few people who do what I did. But within my team, the guys approach me quite often. They talk to me about their own topics. My team is very young there. Guys who are 20, 25, up to 30 years old. How many people do you have on staff at Felik? Up to 50 people as of today. That's it. And the guys really enjoy coming up to talk about different topics. And honestly, I would be really happy if all of them succeed, even if they leave their current jobs and start something of their own, some kind of businesses. So my position is that this is what should grow out of having a big team.
Are you interested in their personal development?
Only spiritually, not materially. I would really like my team to grow. It's something I genuinely enjoy myself. We talk a lot even. Just now, I was out of the office for a couple of days, and the guys are messaging me, asking where I am. They want to talk about their own topics. So that's how it is. There are also 3 people who write asking for money, like give me some cash for this or that, but no, they just write about money a lot. So there's nothing like a real scam or anything like that, no big problems. If something serious happened, I'd probably react, not just ignore the chat. If someone writes to me about money, that's a serious matter.
I was waiting for Allah to voice it. But how can we do without everything?
I'm not going to write, Sanya.
A young millionaire in Ukraine, a bachelor, gentlemen. How many proposals have you gotten? Do you ever see yourself having a family life?
I don't know who said I'm a bachelor. I actually have a girlfriend.
Well, according to your passport, you're a bachelor.
Well, according to my passport, I'm a bachelor.
Sasha, there you go again about those passport stamps. Maybe people...
Listen, I've lived a bit longer than you have. I know that in the passport, something somewhere means something, especially if you're splitting things on the Maidan. Make a wish, Mikhailovna, right? Do you actually look into your own future? Do you see it? Do you try to predict it? Or do you just live for the moment here and now?
I used to live for the moment 100%. Now I try to plan ahead. My circle has changed a bit lately, over the past few months. Now I'm surrounded by even wiser friends, people. And I'm already trying to analyze things, hopefully for the next 15 years. Yeah, it's a bit easier to live this way. Why? Because you see the end point, and you can analyze every action you take. That is, whether it will help you reach your goal or not. For example, spending a lot of time trying to find a girlfriend or something like that. I don't do that. I mean, I have a girlfriend. I'm happy with everything. We never have any arguments. We never have relationship drama. We've never even raised our voices at each other. So that's how we are. As concise as possible. A cheerful, kind little button.
So, moving on, I'm Casto, and for me, it's not about the money for Prizleviev.
100% of happiness isn't in money, but without it, life is sad. Without it, it's really depressing. So, I mean, I stopped focusing on the idea that I want to make money. I want to work on these projects. And the projects themselves end up bringing in some money, but of course, again, you need money for the projects. So it turns into this kind of closed loop. But I think that money does provide some element of happiness. I mean, it takes away some of the everyday not responsibilities. What I mean is when you have to count money for food, for your car, you end up getting distracted, constantly shifting your focus from life's values and joys to calculating the money you need to spend. How much do I need to save? How much do I need to earn? When you don't have to do these daily calculations.
You feel freer.
Of course, you feel a sense of freedom. You start to understand what you want, how you want to develop, what hobbies you want to pursue.
Vadim, we literally have 5, maybe 6 minutes left. A very important question, the topic. So that you could encourage those parents and children you mentioned in your speech. When you started at 14, there was probably a lot of skepticism from your parents and acquaintances. Where are you going? What are you doing? So if there are parents watching us right now who have a child at home, a boy who's 13 or 14, who never leaves his computer and doesn't go outside. It's a tragedy, isn't it? Computer addiction, gaming addiction. You started with games, didn't you? At first you played them, and then you wanted to create them yourself, to program. How can parents notice that first spark in their children, the desire to create something themselves, rather than just being a user, a gamer for life?
I think that for parents, first of all, I really love children, I really love kids. More than anything in the world, I love children.
That's quite unusual for a young guy.
They're just such sincere beings who have nothing bad in their souls and don't wish any harm. But in the business world, there's a lot of that. As for children, I believe this is just my personal opinion. It doesn't have to be right that parents shouldn't try to dictate to their child or instruct them too much. You need to notice their strengths and help them develop those. If a child is sitting at the computer, try to find common ground with them, understand what exactly interests them there. Later on, they'll figure out for themselves how to make money, how to monetize their skills. But if you keep breaking them, knocking them off their path, they'll never get there. And then all these arguments, quarrels, and negatives start piling up like a snowball. And nothing good comes out of it.
For example, right now the IT market is oversaturated, and everyone knows that. How do you choose the right path? Maybe you have some advice on where we are really needed right now?
In reality, there are very few qualified specialists. For example, before we hire someone, we probably interview about 100 people. So there are a lot of people now who know very little or have just read a lot of theory but can't do anything in practice, and they want to earn a lot of money right away.
Is that low qualification?
Actually, in Ukraine, companies are still very bad at interviewing employees. That is, at the interview stage, few companies really understand whether the person can actually do what they claim or not.
By the way, do you work with companies that recruit personnel, or do you handle it yourself?
We have our own team of HRs. They do the hiring themselves, conduct the interviews, trial periods, and so on. So in reality, there is a big problem. It's hard to distinguish a good employee from a bad one, but there are actually very few good employees on the market. So if you want to become an IT specialist, the whole road is still ahead of you. You just need to really be competent, truly know your stuff, keep learning and practicing, and probably aim for deep learning rather than quick money. Everything will be great.
Tell me, do people who achieve success so early, at such a young age like you, feel any kind of responsibility? What about taking steps towards charity, about giving back to the world for your own success, sharing something with others, not with those who just say, give me money, and that's it, but doing something not for yourself, but for others, if it's within your power?
I always share my experience. I try to share with the guys, and I do it completely for free and so on. I try to share advice. As for charity specifically, I perceive him only in the form of children. That is, I am only willing to help children financially, not others. Only children who still can't make decisions about their own lives, who haven't had a chance to make their own choices. That's exactly who I think it's right to help. As for people who have gone down the wrong path in life and end up in a bad financial situation, I believe that's their own mistake. There are a lot of such people. I can't help everyone. I'd rather help children so they can live better and make the right choices in life.
Do you give alms on the street if you see someone?
It depends on who it is. If it's children, for example, then I do. Even when it comes to children, honestly, I was surprised sometimes when I'm walking along the embankment. I see kids selling all sorts of things like little papers, balloons, and so on. To those kids, I not only buy something from them, but I also give them extra. In other words, I try to encourage working from a young age as much as possible, and so on. But to those drunks who ask for money on the street, I absolutely refuse to give anything.
They brought it upon themselves, so that's absolutely right. You know, in Ukraine and really across the whole post-Soviet space, people don't like successful people, especially young successful ones. We envy them. We're envious by nature. Other people's success hits us right in the soul. We actually prefer those who are a bit eccentric, you know, the ones who haven't achieved anything. They often become heroes for us. In your opinion, how will attitudes towards success change?
I don't know. You can try to make it work for yourself, because things didn't always work out for me right away either. There were 1,000 failed attempts, but the 1,001st one succeeded.
Perseverance?
Of course, the more times you try, the more chances you have.
Basically, everyone has the same opportunities. It's just that some people put in maximum effort, while others don't put in any at all.
Try hard and listen to yourself. Why is it that sometimes things don't work out? Because their parents told them, go be an IT specialist. But in reality, he wants to be a dancer. He goes into IT and it doesn't work out for him. If he had become a dancer, everything would have been fine. So listen to yourself. I listened to myself. I don't know why I listened to myself, I won't say, but I always did. I went and did what I liked, and maybe that's why it worked out.
That's the secret of your success. Thank you very much for the broadcast. Thank you for coming. I wish you success. Vadim Mashurov was our guest today, a young Ukrainian IT millionaire, ladies and gentlemen. Right after the show, I'm going to go over and touch him. Maybe I'll get lucky at 47 too. Thank you for coming. Don't take it seriously. And now we say goodbye to you. Our show will be back on air exactly 1 week from now. We had a short break, but you can listen to reruns of our best episodes.
Look forward to it. We'll be back with renewed energy and enthusiasm. See you soon.